Okay, so we just got our first legitimate list for Elestrals. They already banned Spark It, but now we have another ban as well as 3 limits, which hit my deck pretty hard, if I'm being honest. But that's alright because we were moving in a completely separate direction. We lost Drataya. So Fruit, dead. Just doesn't exist. Deck type gone. It was because it was enabling a couple of different FTKs that people weren't super excited about. Just the consistency of being able to keep drawing was very annoying, which is fair. I can see that being a problem moving forward. The other 3, I think, are the 3 limits, fix some issues, but I don't think fix everything. But they're definitely a step in the right direction. We lost Lavalith. He is down to 1. You can play one of them. I probably will in quite a few decks, but it's just not as worth it anymore. We also lost the ability to play 3 Resting on our laurels and 3 Earthquake. That matters a lot. 3 Earthquake didn't impact me as much. I wasn't playing Earth strategies. It just wasn't what I was focused on. Resting murders my deck strategy. My whole point is to sit behind and just wait, right? I want you to get advantage, that way I can come back from there and keep going. The loss of resting means the deck I was playing has essentially no removal besides PTA, which is how everything's going to be now. We'll see how that goes. But here's already a deck list. This is a variant of something I jokingly built yesterday and played at locals last night. Last night was really fun. I was using the Fruit engine to keep drawing because I was just turboing, but this is a new strategy for the Lith idea for not using fire at all, surprisingly. We'll get right into it to show it off. We're running 3 copies of Verdalith. This card's very good. It started to see play in Earth lately because it heals 3 when you're behind. Very easy to get behind like that in this game. It's 4 spirits more in your opponent's spirit deck than in yours. Honestly, last night I was doing it kind of as a joke, but you can just mulligan twice. And if you see this card, good. Or mulligan, have like a Nectar, and this, go for it. Feels very good. He is a 3/7. Of course, you know I only use signed copies of the card, but very cool. This card helps keep us in there. A 3/7 is way harder to remove now. Last night the biggest issue was it was getting resting. It was getting earthquaked every time I played it. Now your opponent has to Eddy, which I'm sure they will, but still. 3 Verdalith. Still on 2 Arcalith, because Arcalith is going to be what finishes games out a lot of the time. Last night I was playing a lot more. I was playing a far chunkier build of this, test 1, and it was interesting. To say the least, we almost never attacked. This build is not going to be that crazy, but it's still going to be sitting that flat. Because we have 3, of course. Astrabbit, who has 5 defense, so we can sit on him for a long time. 5 defense is way more important now that PTA is the best removal that you have actual access to. It and Boombat, meaning this card can sit around for quite some time, which is kind of nice. And it keeps getting us advantage. The reason for this card being played is fairly obvious. Our other 3 defense is a card that most of you probably haven't even seen played in a deck. I love it. I've wanted to have this card see play since the game released, but we have 3 Sproutier, who is a 3/5, and on play searches for an artifact, which is very important for the strategy we're doing here, surprisingly. I'll explain that in a second once we get through all these. Our other guys, this card has been seen a lot lately in different decks, but we are playing it because Quackle, for those that don't know, is Sluggle, but Thunder. So on play, heal up to 3 from your grave. It's an Ambrosia on a body. It's only a 2/3, which isn't great, but Surprisingly, that 3 does come up for a reason I'll show off in a second. And the last Elestral we are playing is just 3 Eddie. This card is like the best tool, honestly, now. He is a removal for a lot of things. He counters our own deck, so we have to play him. It's very good. Onto the invokes. We have 3 Nectar. Spot Agreed, it draws 2 cards and it facilitates the plays with Verdalith. We have 3 Ambrosia. Because it heals 3, it helps us stall, sustain, stay in there. 2 Thunderstorm. Because without Lavalith, we still want to be able to destroy runes. A lot more people are going to feel safer playing their Divines in stadiums now, and we want to have an option to get rid of them because it can tear down our defenses very quickly. And still a single Earthquake. We're on Earth. It's a free slot. You put it in there every time. It's almost mandatory. The last one is 2 Rise. This card might come up a lot more in this deck than it did in my previous variations. Not only does it have the plays with Arcalith, but in this deck we're playing Quackle, so we can use this to bring back Quackle. So this is just an extra copy of Quackle, because if they don't Gorgons the Quackle, we heal 3. So pay 3 Thunder, heal 3 Thunder, free body, ascend over it, make Arcalith. It's just extra copies of ways into our big guy. Very good. And then the counters. This part is where it's always the most boring part of any deck. We have 3 PTA, 3 Gorgons, 2 Shield, and then our specialty for Monarchs, 2 Chariot Ride to facilitate our big, swingy, crazy combo play. Which, of course, is the whole point of this deck. And then there are 2 more slots, and they are the artifacts. We have a Golden Fleece, because Golden Fleece is incredible. It's good, it helps keep defenders up. I put this on Verdalith last night, and it never left the field. There was no point using Eddie on it, because I just turned defense next turn. It protects things very well. But more importantly for this deck is Bow of Apollo. This is our big wombo swingy finisher. So I'll get into that here. Our goal, which should be pretty obvious in this deck, is to have big defensive guys. Say we've got these 3 on board, okay? Somehow we've gotten all 3 of these. We've been like eddying to get rid of our opponent's guys. We're playing the game. This strategy is very annoying and difficult. This is not the best deck. But this would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So now, let's say, because throughout the rest of the game we've been playing very conservatively, we've used the Sprout here to grab Bow of Apollo, we have an Arcalith in hand, and because you shouldn't really ever be playing it early, we have a Chariot Ride. So we have a set Chariot Ride. Say we have these 3 guys on board or something similar. The idea is to sit, stall, have a bunch of guys on board, have spirits available. 4 spirits. Chariot Ride. Go ahead. We're protected. Ascend one of these using all of the spirits on board into an Arcalith. So in this scenario, we would have 2, 3, 4, 5, and then Arcalith's effect, protected by Chariot, puts 3 more Thunder on it, making him an 8 spirit, and then we play our secret tech of Bow of Apollo, putting it on him, swinging directly for 8 damage. The deck is goofy. Like I said, big swingy combo is the point. This is obviously not the craziest deck, but it can do what it wants to do. Last night I was jokingly focusing more on drawing with Root, We weren't focusing so much on this particular play. We still got this play off twice. We had the opportunity to go into it a couple times, but the 2 times we did, we swung once for 7, could have been 8, but we weren't really caring. I could have misenchanted a card. But swung for 7, and then one game against Little Guy Stall, against Purple Pancake. Shout out, thanks for coming out. I'll put your name up here for your Discord, and then swung for 12. And that 12 was exactly lethal. I just kept re-enchanting my board, because in a stall matchup, we're both stalling, use the whole board, swing it. That is the strat of this deck. Realize I didn't show it off before. The Spirit deck is incredibly simple. We have 8 Earth, 7 Thunder, 3 Solar, and 2 Water. It's exactly what we need. That strat I showed off is the only real big crazy finisher. Otherwise, we are just sitting and grinding. This is a stall deck, as bad as that is. I hate to say it, because I've never been one to play that type of deck before, but I feel like it makes sense here. And then ignore the sleeves because they're not perfect. But the sideboard that we are currently thinking about is 3 Dense Fog with 2 Alloon, just because some matchups, if we happen to run into something like a Morfrost or anything like that, it answers it completely. We have more removal, a single copy of Resting if we think that'll end up coming out, as well as 2 Boom Bats because we're already on Thunder, the 3rd copy of Thunderstorm, the 3rd Shield, and weirdly enough, I think this might come up sometimes, 3 copies of Toxion. This is more for the... Weirdly enough, it's more for the stall matchup, because like I said, we can easily pile up our board, but putting a Toxion on board and keep piling it up helps to facilitate getting them to the exact number we need to be able to beat with a big beefy Arcolith, and then 2 Sonicore. Because I think he's going to be way more relevant now that you have to PTA him, but you can't PTA him. Crazy, right? I think this card is insane now that we are not playing as many Invoke kill spells. It means you have to hit him with a Boom Bat, your 1 of Earthquake, or your 1 of Resting, and that's very good. So I think this will come up a lot. Honestly, he's probably more consistent in the actual build. But that is all. Just wanted to show it off, get my thoughts out there. I like this list. I think it's pretty cool. I don't think it fixes every problem. I think it's going to be interesting to see how many more aggressive strategies we see now that everyone can just keep playing. A lot more 2 and 3 drops, I think. But I'm going to keep brewing, and I will see you guys in the next one.